And the third video I listened to and decided not to delete, although it's extremely controversial and what anyone says about it is easily misunderstood, was about transgender people. Now, Once Upon a Time, Woman on the Edge of Time was my favourite book. I'm going to have to cross it off. In theory, the ideas seemed great at the time, but they've been misappropriated. The ideas in that book have been misappropriated. Basically, the author did want to do away with sex altogether, no she and no he. People were just per, P-E-R. Grammatically, no gender. And almost all our ideas seemed brilliant. I wasn't too sure about the bits where the children were messing around sexually, because I do know of people who've been abused by their siblings, and it has not made for a happy life for those people. Just the opposite. I don't think it's a good idea for siblings to have sexual relationships. I also thought her treatment of the prostitute in the book was appalling. The way that she was portrayed, I thought was absolutely abominable. So I'm going to have to cross Woman on the Edge of Time off my list of favourites. And I didn't like those things even back then. The book has been misappropriated. Because now, her utopia, in which one could be any sex one wanted to be, and change names as and when. Oh, I'm Peter today, I'm Susan tomorrow. Seemed like a jolly good idea. But it isn't. Because now, and with Islam, I have to separate out the religion, which I hate, from its followers, whom I don't. There are Muslims I like. And there are transgender. I know 2 local transgender people. One of whom I like a lot, the other of whom I'm a little less sure of. Whoops, won't get my computer fixed by her again. No, she's all right. Anyway, it's not the people who are the problem. It's the political agenda that has grown up around them. And that political agenda has found its way into the lesbian and gay, I'm not going to call that an agenda, lesbian and gay rights movement. They've sort of, transgenders have kind of sidled into that wrongly, because it's not a sexuality. It's not a sexual orientation. And they've also slipped into the feminist movement, which is, frankly, insane. You won't find an intersectional feminist who isn't banging the drum for transgenders. And we now have the ludicrous position in which a man only has to say, I am a woman, and bingo, bang! Tinkerbell has waved her magic wand, and the man is now a woman. He doesn't have to have any operations. He might have to put on a dress, although, of course, if you look around you, probably about 95% of women don't wear dresses anymore. And Caitlyn Jenner I absolutely detest, but there we go. For numerous reasons, too many to list. What is now happening is that a man has the right to say, I'm a woman, bingo, he is a woman. He has the right to go into women's toilets, where complete with penis, he can, if he so wishes, molest the women in there. Or worse. And there was a recent case where precisely that happened. But that's not the thrust of this argument that I'm making. He has the absolute right to self-identify as a woman. But what has happened is that transgenders have imposed upon women the right to identify them as well. In other words, I can't self-identify as a woman as far as the transgender movement is concerned. No, I have to try to identify as a cis woman, which means, love the newspeak, the Orwellian newspeak, cis woman means that you are a born woman who identifies as a born woman. It's absolute nonsense, and worse than that, it creates an othering. It means that transgender is the norm, and women who are born women have to say, no, I'm not a trans woman. I'm a woman who was born a woman. I have to differentiate myself from them, which shouldn't have to be the case. Why can we not just stick with, I am a woman and you are a trans woman? Sorry, you weren't born with a vagina and a womb, and I'm sure if push came to shove, you would thank God for that. Because when you say, I'm a trans woman, did you actually want to menstruate? Did you actually want to give birth? Did you want to set yourself up to be raped? Did you want lower pay than men in the same job? Did you want the most insulting word in the English language to be cunt? And to have to live with that all your life? Did you want to have a lower standard of education, which I had as a female? What is it you mean when you say, I am a woman? It looks as if what you actually mean is, it looks to me as if what you actually mean is, I want to wear pretty dresses and high heels and makeup and wigs. Certainly if Caitlyn Jenner is typical of, a transgender person. And there's another word for that, and it's transvestite. And all you have to do, you don't have to alter anything physically, and you don't have to say I'm a woman. You can wear whatever damn clothes you want and say I'm me. And that doesn't affect born women adversely. Whereas being asked to identify as a cis woman most definitely does. It, as I say, it others us against a new norm. So, having fought for donkey's years for the right to just be a woman and not be ashamed to be a woman, we are now told we must identify as cis women. I claim the right to identify as a woman. And if a trans person wants to claim the right to identify as a woman, I can't stop them. But I can also claim the right to identify as a woman, not a cis woman. It doesn't even end there. There was one article in which we were urged not to talk about our vaginas because that was trans exclusionary. Because trans women don't have vaginas. Is this going to happen the other way around? When women become men? Is the topic of a penis going to be off the agenda? Is that going to be trans exclusionary because trans men don't have a penis? Somehow it doesn't seem to work that way around. And yet feminists have embraced this horrible political agenda and made it their own. And it's all, in my view, and anyone who's watched my videos will know I'm not religious. I know that's not many people. It's chaos. It's creating chaos. And it is dividing and conquering. Because whereas once upon a time I would have said I was extremely tolerant of trans people, until I began to wonder what they actually meant by it. When you say you feel like a woman, how do you know what a woman feels like? Because you've never been one. What is it that you actually want to be? As I said, I don't think it's menstruation or childbirth. So what do you mean by that? And, I don't give a shit whether you walk around in a dress and high heels and makeup. Doesn't bother me. But don't tell me that I'm not a woman. Don't tell me that I'm a cis woman. Anyway, chaos. Chaos is the end result of this. It's set feminist against feminist. It's a whole political feeling is that we have to fight like hell for the right of men who want to be women. And while we're doing that, we're forgetting the millions of women who are getting raped, gang raped as well. We're forgetting the women in China who, thanks to the one-child policy, leave their baby girls in dying rooms. And watch a 1995 video if you don't believe me. Is it 20 million baby girls lost in a couple of decades? Or 200 million baby girls lost in a couple of decades? Because they were put in these rooms and left to die on the grounds that they were female. I think that's a more important cause than a man, wanting to put a dress on. And are women fighting against female genital mutilation? Are they? Hell? No. They're now saying it's a cultural thing, and we really probably should allow it. And yet, if the glands of a male baby were cut off, something tells me that we would not accept that as a cultural practice. While women are being beheaded and stoned to death and whipped and having acid thrown in their faces and being tortured and killed in massive, massive numbers, women and little girls and babies. While all of this is going on, feminists are fighting for the rights of a man to wear a dress. And I'm sorry, but I don't think it's important. And what is happening here? Comparatively, I don't think it's important. And who's going to stop him wearing a dress anyway? Go ahead. Feminists are not fighting for women anymore. They're not fighting for their own sex anymore. They're not fighting for the women of the world. They're not fighting for the little girls of the world. And because of that, the women and little girls of the world are going to go back under and be pushed aside as unimportant, which furthers the cause of women as breeders and nothing but breeders, and that is part of the New World Order.